You just face the truth about time, that it's slipping away faster than you think, that every wasted hour is a piece of your life gone forever. And maybe, just maybe, that realization lit a fire under you. Maybe it made you angry, frustrated, determined. But here's what you need to understand. Even if you start making better choices today, there will still be people who don't notice, people who don't care, people who keep living like nothing matters. And that's okay. Because here's the next harsh reality. No one cares as much as you think. Think about how much mental space you give to what others might be thinking about you, how many hours you spend worrying about whether you're liked enough, respected enough, noticed enough. You replay conversations in your head. You overthink every action. You wonder if people are judging you, ignoring you, or talking behind your back. But here's the brutal truth. Most people aren't thinking about you at all. It hurts to hear, doesn't it? Because deep down, we all want to matter. We want to feel seen, important, valued. But the reality is this. Everyone else is too busy dealing with their own fears, their own insecurities, their own problems to spend much time obsessing over yours. You are not the center of their world. And that's not a bad thing. It's a freeing one. Because when you finally accept that people aren't watching your every move, something shifts inside you. The pressure lifts. The performance ends. The exhausting act of trying to impress everyone fades away. And in its place comes something rare and powerful. Freedom. Freedom to take risks without fear of judgment. Freedom to speak up even when it makes others uncomfortable. Freedom to walk away from situations that drain you. Freedom to live for yourself instead of constantly scanning the crowd for approval. This isn't about becoming indifferent to others. It's about understanding where your power truly lies. Other people's opinions are only as strong as the weight you give them. And once you stop handing them that weight, you reclaim your energy, your confidence, and your direction. Let me ask you something. How much of your life have you already lived for other people? How many decisions have been shaped by what someone else might say? How many dreams have been buried because you were afraid of being misunderstood, or worse, ignored? That's the real fear, isn't it? Not rejection, not criticism, but invisibility. The idea that if you stop trying to be everything to everyone, some people might not see you at all. But here's the truth. The right people will always see you. The ones who matter, the ones who genuinely care, will notice your effort, your growth, your struggle. They won't need you to perform for their attention. They'll show up because they value you, not because you've earned their approval through constant effort. Everyone else, their opinions don't define you. Their silence doesn't erase you. Their disinterest doesn't make you any less worthy of success, happiness, or love. So stop giving them so much control. Stop letting the imagined judgments of others dictate your choices. If you wait until everyone approves, you'll never begin. If you wait until everyone understands, you'll never grow. If you wait until everyone agrees, you'll never lead. Real strength comes from living your truth, even when no one is watching, especially when no one is watching. Because the moments when nobody sees you working, nobody applauds your effort, and nobody cheers your progress, that's when your character is built. That's when you become someone who doesn't need validation to know their worth. So let go of the spotlight. Let go of the illusion that everyone must understand you. Let go of the belief that you need permission to step forward. Your life is yours to shape. Your path is yours to walk. And the moment you stop looking around for approval is the moment you start moving forward with real purpose. Because here's the final truth. The world changes not because of those who seek attention, but because of those who do the work anyway. Speak up anyway. Take the risk anyway. Believe in themselves even when no one else does. That's who changes things. That's who inspires others. That's who lives a life that truly matters. And that's who you can become. If you choose to stop waiting for permission and start claiming your power now, you've just accepted that most people aren't paying as much attention to you as you thought. That realization might have felt like a punch in the gut at first, like a reminder that you're not as important to the world as you hoped. But now you see it for what it really is, a gift. A release from the pressure of constant performance. A chance to stop chasing approval and start living with purpose. But here's the next truth, one that cuts even deeper. Your happiness is not someone else's responsibility. No one is coming to rescue you. No one is going to fix your life, lift your mood, or give you the motivation you think you need. Not your parents, not your partner, not your friends, not some mentor on social media, and certainly not fate. Because happiness isn't something that gets handed to you. It's something you build every single day. That might sound harsh, maybe even cruel, but it's the kind of truth that changes lives. Because once you stop waiting for someone else to make things better, you finally take full ownership of your life. You stop blaming your circumstances for how you feel. You stop making excuses for why you haven't changed yet. And you start doing the real work, the internal work, of becoming someone who creates their own joy. Think about how many times you've said to yourself, I'll be happy when I get the promotion, when I lose the weight, when I find the right relationship, when my situation improves. But here's what happens when you reach those goals. The happiness fades fast, because external conditions don't create lasting joy. They only provide temporary spikes of satisfaction. Real happiness comes from within, from your mindset, your habits, your choices, from the way you respond to life, not the way life treats you. And that's where most people stay stuck. They keep rearranging the outside, hoping it will finally bring them peace. But nothing ever sticks because they never address the inside. Let me ask you something. If everything in your life was perfect tomorrow, would you suddenly become a different person? Would all your insecurities vanish? Would your self-doubt disappear? Or would you still carry the same fears, the same limiting beliefs, the same emotional wounds? Because if you don't change who you are internally, no amount of external success will ever be enough. This is the moment where you decide, am I going to keep waiting for life to change before I'm happy? Or am I going to start building happiness into my daily life, regardless of what's happening around me? Because the truth is, you already have everything you need to begin. Not someday, not after you fix everything, not after you feel ready, right now, in this moment. You can choose to take control of your thoughts, to shape your actions, to show up for yourself in ways you never have before. And that's where the real transformation begins. You see, happiness isn't a destination. It's a skill. One that needs to be practiced, cultivated, strengthened over time, like discipline, like resilience, like confidence. It doesn't just appear. It's built through consistent effort, intentional thinking, and daily choices that align with who you want to become. So what does that look like for you? It means taking responsibility for your energy, for your mindset, for your reactions. It means refusing to let other people's moods dictate yours, refusing to let setbacks define your future, refusing to wait for motivation to strike before you take action. Because motivation won't save you. Discipline will. Feelings come and go. Emotions shift with the wind. But identity, that's what shapes your life. If you see yourself as someone who takes action, who keeps going despite the pain, who builds happiness instead of waiting for it, you'll start acting like it. And that's when everything changes. You stop looking outside for validation. You stop waiting for permission. You stop blaming your past for where you are today. You stop believing that happiness is something you deserve, and start treating it as something you earn. Every morning becomes a choice. Every challenge becomes an opportunity. Every setback becomes a lesson. And every small step forward becomes proof that you are capable, that you are strong, that you are enough. Because happiness isn't given, it isn't found, it isn't owed, it's created. By you, right now, even when it hurts, even when it's hard, even when no one else sees it. That's who you are, that's who you're becoming, and that's how you build a life that truly matters. So take a deep breath, let go of the fantasy that someone else will make things better. Your happiness starts today, with you. You've just accepted that happiness is your responsibility. That it doesn't come from outside circumstances, but from the choices you make every single day. And maybe for the first time, you feel a sense of clarity, like the fog has lifted, and you finally see the path in front of you. But here's the next truth, one that so many people try to avoid because it feels too painful to face. Failure is inevitable. No matter how hard you work, no matter how smart you are, no matter how much effort you put in, you will fail. You will fall short. You will make mistakes. You will lose. And if you're not prepared for that reality, those moments will crush you. Because most people believe failure is the end. They think it means they're not good enough, that they should have known better, that they wasted their time. But what they don't realize is this. Failure isn't final, it's foundational. Every person who has ever achieved anything meaningful has failed. Not once, not twice, dozens of times, hundreds even. The difference between them and the people who give up isn't talent or luck, it's mindset. It's the ability to look at failure not as a verdict on their worth, but as feedback on what needs to change. So why do we fear failure so much? Because it hurts, because it exposes us, because it strips away the illusion of control and forces us to confront our limitations. But pain isn't always a warning. Sometimes it's a teacher. Failure teaches resilience. It builds grit. It reveals weaknesses you didn't know you had and gives you the chance to strengthen them. Without failure, there is no growth. Without failure, there is no innovation. Without failure, there is no progress. Think about the greatest achievements in history, the breakthroughs, the revolutions, the discoveries. None of them came without setbacks. Thomas Edison famously said he didn't fail 10,000 times while inventing the light bulb. He just found 10,000 ways that didn't work. That's not just optimism, that's power. Because when you stop seeing failure as something that happens to you and start seeing it as something that happens for you, everything changes. You stop avoiding risk. You stop fearing judgment. You stop letting the possibility of failure keep you stuck in a life that isn't working. And here's the thing, failure doesn't define you. It only defines you if you let it, because you always have a choice. You can either let failure break you, or let it build you. You can either see it as proof that you're not capable, or as evidence that you're moving forward. You can either retreat into safety, or rise stronger than before. That's the real test of character. Not how you handle success, but how you respond when things fall apart. Because success is easy to embrace. It feels good. It brings validation. It makes you feel like you're on the right track. But failure? Failure is where true strength is forged, where courage is tested, where greatness begins. So ask yourself, are you afraid of failing because you think it means you're weak? Or are you ready to see failure for what it really is, a necessary step towards something greater? Because if you want to live a life of purpose, if you want to achieve something that matters, you must accept this truth now. You will fail, probably more than once. And instead of fearing it, you must prepare for it. You must expect it. You must welcome it as part of the process. Because the moment you stop seeing failure as the enemy is the moment you unlock unstoppable momentum. You won't need perfect conditions to begin. You won't wait until you feel ready. You won't hesitate because you're scared of messing up. You'll take action anyway. You'll push through discomfort. You'll keep going when others quit. And every time you fall, you'll get back up. Not because you're immune to pain, but because you understand what failure really means. It means you tried. It means you cared enough to take a risk. It means you're moving in the direction of something important. So don't run from failure. Don't hide from it. Don't let the fear of it paralyze you. Instead, embrace it, learn from it, grow through it. Because if you can do that, if you can turn failure into fuel, nothing will ever be able to stop you. You've just accepted that failure is not only possible, it's guaranteed. And in that truth you found strength. Because now you understand failure isn't the end, it's part of the process, a necessary step on the path to something greater. But here's the next reality, one that cuts even deeper and shakes the foundation of everything you thought was fair. Life isn't fair. It never was. It never will be. No matter how hard you work, no matter how good your intentions, no matter how much you try to do the right thing, you will face injustice. You will see people who do less get more. People who lie rise above those who tell the truth. People who hurt others gain popularity while kind souls go unnoticed. And it burns, doesn't it? That feeling of being wronged, of watching others break the rules and still come out ahead, of doing everything right and still getting passed over, forgotten, overlooked. We were raised with a belief that life should balance out, that if we're honest, work hard, and treat people well, the universe will reward us. But the world doesn't run on fairness. It runs on power, on opportunity, on timing, on systems that favor some and overlook others. And when you realize that, when you truly accept it, that pain can either destroy you or define you. Because here's the truth, fighting for fairness is exhausting. It drains your energy, clouds your mind, and keeps you stuck in resentment. And resentment? It doesn't punish the person who wronged you. It poisons you. So what do you do with that anger, with that frustration, with that deep sense that you deserve better? You stop waiting for life to be fair and start becoming stronger than it. Because fairness is an illusion. Control is limited. But growth is always available to you, no matter the situation, no matter how unjust the outcome. You can choose to let hardship make you bitter or make you better. Think about the people you admire most, the ones who've overcome real adversity. Did they win because life handed them a perfect set of circumstances? No, they won because they refused to let unfairness dictate their future. They got knocked down, but they didn't stay there. They faced injustice, but they didn't let it shape their identity. They saw inequality, but instead of giving up, they doubled down on their effort, their resilience, their purpose. That's the difference between someone who gets crushed by life and someone who rises through it. You don't need permission to grow. You don't need equal opportunities to succeed. You don't need a perfectly balanced playing field to become someone powerful, capable, unstoppable. What you need is a mindset shift. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what am I going to do about it? Instead of focusing on what was taken from you, focus on what you still have. Instead of blaming the system, take full responsibility for your response. Because here's the final truth, life's unfairness cannot be changed. But your reaction to it can. And every time you choose to move forward despite the injustice, you prove something to yourself, something unshakable. You prove that you are not defined by your circumstances. You prove that you are not ruled by luck or fate or other people's choices. You prove that no matter how harsh the world becomes, you are harsher, not in cruelty, not in bitterness, but in determination, in grit, in refusal to be stopped by something as predictable as life's unfairness. Because once you accept that life isn't fair, something inside you changes. You stop wasting time wishing things were different. You stop waiting for the world to recognize your worth. You stop expecting recognition before action. You simply do the work. Show up. Push through. Keep going. And that's when real power begins. Not because life suddenly becomes easy, but because you become unstoppable. So whatever unfair hand you've been dealt, whatever setback, betrayal, or disappointment you faced, don't let it be the end of your story. Let it be the moment you decided to rise. You just faced the brutal truth that life isn't fair, that reality might still sting, maybe even feel like a weight on your chest. But in that pain you found something powerful, clarity. Because once you stop waiting for fairness to guide your path, you begin walking forward with purpose. And now, it's time to face another hard truth, one that most people spend their whole lives avoiding. You will feel alone, not just sometimes, not just during moments of hardship, but deeply, fully, in ways that cut through every distraction and reminder of connection. There will be times when no one understands what you're going through, when even those closest to you can't reach you where it hurts, when silence feels louder than noise, when presence doesn't erase loneliness. And that loneliness, it terrifies us. Because we are wired for connection, for belonging, for love. We fear being alone not because we need someone physically beside us, but because in solitude, we are forced to face ourselves. That's the real discomfort, the real fear, not being without company, but being without escape. Because when there's no one to talk to, no distractions to keep you moving, no one watching your every move, you finally hear your own thoughts. You finally feel your own pain. And for many, that moment is unbearable. But here's the truth. Loneliness is not a punishment. It's a signal, a deep, internal reminder that something within you needs attention. It tells you that you've been relying too much on others for validation, that you've built your sense of worth around external approval, that you've filled your life with people who don't truly see you, and ignored the one person who should know you best, yourself. And so the world gets quiet, people drift away, conversations fade, and suddenly you're left staring at the raw edges of your own existence, with nowhere to hide, no one to blame, nothing to distract you from the truth. That's when the real work begins. Because loneliness is not the absence of people, it's the absence of self. And if you run from that feeling, if you fill the silence with noise, the cycle repeats. You chase relationships that don't satisfy. You surround yourself with people who don't understand you. You seek validation in places it will never be found. And the loneliness grows deeper. But if you stay with it, if you let it teach you instead of scare you, you start to build something unshakable. You begin to listen to yourself, to ask the questions you've avoided for years. Who am I when no one else is watching? What do I truly believe? What do I want? Not what I think I should want, but what my soul craves. This is where real strength is born. In moments of solitude, in decisions to sit with discomfort instead of numbing it, in choosing to become your own source of comfort, guidance, and motivation. Because once you learn to be alone without fear, you no longer depend on others to make you feel whole. You no longer settle for connections that drain you. You no longer tolerate environments that suffocate your growth. You become self-reliant, grounded, unshakable. And here's the beautiful irony. The more comfortable you become in your own company, the more meaningful your relationships become. Because now, when you connect with others, it's not out of desperation, not because you need them to fix your loneliness, but because you choose to share your journey with people who add value, depth, and meaning to your life. So the next time loneliness creeps in, don't panic. Don't scramble to fill the space. Don't reach for distractions or false connections just to feel seen. Instead, breathe. Lean into the silence. Let it reveal what you've been avoiding. Because in that stillness, you'll find something far more powerful than temporary company. You'll find yourself. And once you do, you'll never truly be alone again. You've just accepted that loneliness is not the enemy. It's a teacher. That silence, when embraced instead of feared, reveals who you truly are beneath the noise of expectation, distraction, and false connection. And now, as you continue peeling back the layers of what it means to live an honest, powerful life, there's another truth waiting for you. One that most people spend years avoiding because it shakes the foundation of everything they believe. People change. Not just over time. Not just slightly. People change in ways that can leave you feeling like the ground has shifted beneath your feet. The ones you trusted may no longer feel familiar. The relationships you built your world around might no longer exist. And the people you thought would always be there, some of them will walk away. And that hurts, deeply, because we cling to the idea that some things, some people, are constant, that certain bonds are immune to time, distance, or evolution. But the truth is this, nothing stays the same. Not you, not them, not life. Change is inevitable, growth is unavoidable. And sometimes those two things don't happen in the same direction. You have changed, you are changing, and so are the people around you. Some are growing closer to who they're meant to become. Others are moving further away from the version of themselves you once knew, and neither of you is wrong for that. But here's what happens when we refuse to accept this reality. We hold on to what no longer serves us. We stay in relationships that drain us. We keep trying to fit into spaces that no longer belong to us. We chase connections that have already ended, and in doing so we block our own growth, because growth requires release. It requires letting go of people who are only meant to walk part of your journey. It demands the courage to say goodbye to roles you've outgrown. It asks you to honor the past without allowing it to dictate your future. This isn't about blaming others for leaving. It's not about labeling people as bad for changing. It's about understanding that change is natural, necessary, human. Think about the person you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Are you still the same? Do you think the same way? Believe the same things? Want the same life? Of course not, and neither do the people who once shaped your world. So why do we act surprised when they no longer match the version of themselves we hold on to? Holding on to people who have changed doesn't bring them back. It only traps you in the past. It keeps you stuck in memories instead of living fully in the present. It makes you believe that something is missing, when in reality, you're simply refusing to move forward. Here's the final truth. People changing doesn't mean you've lost them. It means you've both grown. And sometimes, growing means walking separate paths. That realization might bring grief, sadness, a sense of loss. And that's okay. Honor the relationship for what it was, for what it taught you, for how it shaped you. But don't let that memory prevent you from becoming who you're meant to be next. Because here's what most people never realize. When someone leaves your life, it's not always a tragedy. Sometimes, it's an invitation to grow beyond what was comfortable. To build new connections that align with who you are now. To create space for people who are evolving alongside you instead of behind you. So if you're holding on to a relationship that no longer feels real, if you're mourning someone who has changed more than you expected, ask yourself this. Am I holding on out of love or out of fear? Am I staying because this connection still adds value to my life, or because I'm afraid of what comes next without it? Are these people helping me become who I want to be, or are they keeping me tied to who I used to be? Letting go doesn't mean you erase the past. It means you stop letting it control your future. Because real strength isn't in holding on, it's in knowing when to release. And once you make peace with change, once you understand that people shifting doesn't mean failure but growth, you'll start moving through life with far less resistance. You'll stop clinging. Stop begging for consistency where there is none. Stop wasting energy trying to force connections that have already faded. Instead, you'll walk forward with confidence, with clarity, with the quiet power of someone who understands that change is not the end. It's the beginning of becoming who you were meant to be. You've just accepted that people change. That some will walk away, not because they meant to hurt you, but because they were growing too, just in a different direction. And as hard as that truth might feel, it has given you something rare, clarity, the kind that comes only when you stop resisting reality and start embracing what truly is. But here's another reality, one that most people refuse to face until it's too late, one that sits quietly beneath every fear, every hesitation, every excuse for not starting now. You cannot escape pain forever. No matter how carefully you plan, how much you try to avoid discomfort, how many distractions you fill your life with, pain will find you. It always does. Because pain is not the enemy. Pain is the signal. A raw, unfiltered message from your body, your mind, your soul. It tells you when something needs to change, when you're holding on to something that no longer serves you, when you're living in a way that doesn't align with who you truly are. And yet, so many of us spend our lives running from it. We numb it with distractions, with endless scrolling, with meaningless relationships, with temporary pleasures that fade the moment we close our eyes. We bury it under busyness, under noise, under the illusion that if we just keep moving, we won't have to feel. But pain isn't going anywhere, and the more you avoid it, the deeper it festers, until one day it explodes, not as a whisper, but as a roar, a breakdown, a crisis, a moment of reckoning that forces you to finally listen. Because pain was never meant to destroy you, it was meant to guide you. Think about physical pain for a moment. If you touch something hot, your hand pulls away instantly. Not because your body wants to punish you, but because it wants to protect you. Pain is your body's language, your brain's way of saying, this is harming you, stop. Emotional pain works the same way. It's not there to ruin your life. It's there to tell you something needs attention, something needs healing, something inside you is crying out to be seen. So why do we fight it? Because facing pain means being vulnerable. It means sitting with discomfort instead of escaping it. It means acknowledging that something in your life isn't working, and that you have to do something about it. That terrifies us. Because once you admit the pain, You can't pretend anymore. You can't blame others. You can't make excuses. You have to take responsibility. You have to change. And that's where real growth begins. Because courage isn't the absence of pain. It's action in spite of it. Courage is choosing to speak up even when you're afraid of being judged. Courage is walking away from a relationship that no longer serves you, even when loneliness feels unbearable. Courage is chasing a dream even when failure is guaranteed. Real strength doesn't come from avoiding pain. It comes from walking through it, from allowing it to shape you instead of break you. Here's the final truth. The only thing worse than feeling pain is ignoring it until it becomes unbearable. Because when you push pain away long enough, it builds pressure. It turns into resentment, into burnout, into despair, and eventually it crashes over you like a wave, so powerful that you wonder how you ever ignored it for so long. So don't wait for that breaking point. Start now. Sit with the discomfort. Ask yourself the hard questions. What am I avoiding? What part of my life feels broken but I keep pretending it's fine? What pain have I been numbing instead of healing? Because healing doesn't happen in comfort zones. It happens in moments of honesty, in decisions to stop hiding, in the willingness to look at your wounds instead of covering them up. This is your life. This is your pain. And it is not a flaw. It is not a weakness. It is not something to be ashamed of. It is a call to grow. So stop running. Stop hiding. Stop distracting. Let yourself feel. Let yourself grieve. Let yourself heal. Because the moment you stop fearing pain is the moment you unlock unstoppable momentum. Pain will always be part of life. But it doesn't have to control you. You get to decide what it means. You get to choose how it shapes you. And once you do, you become someone who doesn't just survive. You become someone who thrives. You've just faced the truth about pain, that it cannot be avoided forever, that trying to escape it only deepens its grip on your life. And in that realization, you found something powerful, permission to feel, to heal, to stop running and start facing what's been buried beneath distraction, denial, and fear. But now comes the final truth, the one that shakes everything, the one that changes not just how you live, but why. You will not live forever. That sentence might have hit like a punch to the gut. Maybe you flinched reading it, maybe you wanted to look away, because death is not a topic we like to dwell on. It makes us uncomfortable. It forces us to confront our own fragility, our own impermanence. But here's the hidden power of this truth. Mortality is the ultimate motivator. Because when you truly understand that your time is limited, something shifts inside you. You stop waiting. Stop hesitating. Stop making excuses for why you're not living the life you want. You finally begin. Because every second you spend pretending you have more time is a second stolen from the life you claim to want. Every day you waste chasing distractions is a day you'll never get back. And every year that passes while you wait for the right moment is another year gone, never to return. So ask yourself, if today was your last day, would you live it the same way? Would you still spend hours scrolling through content that leaves you emptier than before? Would you still hold back from saying what needs to be said? Would you still put off the dream that keeps whispering in your mind at night? Or would you finally do what you know you should have done a long time ago? Because here's the brutal reality. You don't know how many days you have left. None of us do. And that uncertainty isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. It's meant to strip away the illusion that there will always be tomorrow. That you can start next week, next month, next year. But tomorrow is never guaranteed. And the longer you wait, the more you risk reaching the end of your life filled with regret. Regret for the things you didn't say, the chances you didn't take, the person you were too afraid to become. That's not dramatic. That's honest. So let this truth ignite something inside you. Let it burn away the complacency, the procrastination, the fear that has kept you small for far too long. Because you are not here to simply exist. You are here to live, fully, powerfully, unapologetically. And that means making choices right now that align with the life you truly want. It means walking away from relationships that drain you, even if it's hard. It means pursuing goals that scare you, even if failure is possible. It means speaking your truth, even if not everyone agrees. Because once you accept that your time is limited, you stop caring so much about what others think. You stop wasting energy trying to impress people who will never matter in the grand scheme of your life. You stop playing small just to keep the peace. Instead, you start building a life that feels real, one that reflects who you truly are, not who you think you should be. This is your only life, no second chances, no do-overs, no endless opportunities stretching out into some distant future. Just this moment, just this breath, just this choice. So what are you going to do with it? Are you going to keep waiting, keep doubting, keep convincing yourself that you'll start when you feel ready? Or are you going to finally move? Because the truth is this, If you keep doing what you've always done, you'll keep getting what you've always gotten. But if you choose differently, if you decide right now that you will no longer waste your life on distractions, fears, or false comfort, then everything changes. You change, your mindset changes, your actions change, your life changes. And that's how you create something meaningful, something lasting, something that matters, not because you live longer than others, but because you live deeper. So take a breath, let this truth settle into your bones. You will not live forever, and that's not a curse. It's the greatest gift you've ever been given, because now, you have no reason left to wait. You've just faced the final truth, your time is not infinite, and that realization might feel heavy, even terrifying. But beneath the fear lies something powerful, clarity, a raw, unfiltered understanding that every moment you have left is too valuable to waste on anything less than full, unapologetic living. Because now you see it for what it truly is. Life isn't about waiting for the perfect conditions. It's not about feeling ready or having all the answers. It's about making a choice, a decision to stop letting fear, doubt, and distraction run your life. And once you make that decision, everything begins to shift. Think about everything you've accepted so far. You are not here to be liked by everyone. Hard work alone won't guarantee success. You can't control everything. Time is slipping away faster than you think. Most people aren't watching you. Happiness is yours to build. Failure is inevitable and necessary. Life is unfair. Loneliness is unavoidable. People change. Pain must be felt, not avoided. And death? Death is the ultimate reminder that none of this lasts forever. These are not just truths, they are tools, building blocks for a life lived with intention, strength, and purpose. And now, standing at the end of this journey, you're left with only one question. What will you do with this knowledge? Because if you walk away unchanged, if you let these words wash over you and then return to the same patterns, the same distractions, the same excuses, you will have wasted the most powerful gift you've been given, awareness. But if you choose differently, if you decide right now that you will no longer live small, no longer wait for permission, no longer pretend that happiness will find you, you begin something extraordinary. You begin becoming the person you were meant to be, not someday, not after you fix everything, not when you feel ready, now. Because real transformation doesn't come from information, it comes from action, from choices made in the quiet moments when no one is watching, from decisions to keep going even when it hurts, from the courage to face reality instead of running from it. So ask yourself, who do you need to become in order to live the life you truly want? The version of you that stops waiting for approval, the one who builds happiness from within, the one who sees failure as fuel instead of proof of weakness, the one who walks through pain instead of avoiding it? That person already exists inside you. You've seen glimpses of them in your strongest moments, in the times when you refused to give up, when you chose truth over comfort, when you stood tall despite the fear. Now, it's time to become that person fully. It starts with a single step, one decision today that moves you forward. One habit changed, one boundary set, one fear faced, one dream acknowledged instead of buried. And every day after that, another step, another choice, another act of courage. Because growth is not a single event. It's a daily commitment to showing up for yourself, to refusing to settle for less than you deserve, to building a life that reflects your deepest values, not someone else's expectations. This is your life. This is your time. And nothing you've heard means anything unless you act on it. So don't just watch this video and feel inspired for an hour before returning to the same old cycle. Let this be the moment you decided to change. Let this be the moment you stopped running from the truth and started using it to build something real. Because you now know what most people spend their whole lives avoiding. You know why happiness has felt out of reach. You know why progress has felt slow. You know why fulfillment has felt temporary. And now, you also know how to fix it, by accepting reality, by facing discomfort, by choosing action over waiting, by building your happiness instead of chasing it, by embracing failure instead of fearing it, by walking through pain instead of avoiding it, by living like your time matters, because it does. So take a deep breath. Let this sink in. Then move, because nothing changes until you do. You've just stood at the edge of everything you've learned. Every truth you've faced has stripped away another layer of illusion, until now, here, you stand with nothing left to hide behind. No more excuses, no more waiting, no more pretending that happiness will find you if you just stay quiet long enough. Because happiness doesn't come looking for you. You must go after it, with everything you have. And now that you know what holds you back, now that you've seen the patterns keeping you stuck, now that you've tasted the clarity that comes from facing reality instead of running from it, you can't go back. You were never meant to. Because growth doesn't happen in comfort zones. It happens in moments like this, when you feel the weight of your own potential pressing down on you. When you realize that the life you want is not going to build itself. That no one else is going to make the hard choices for you. That every second you waste doubting yourself is a second stolen from the person you're capable of becoming. So ask yourself, are you ready? Are you ready to stop waiting for permission? Are you ready to stop making excuses? Are you ready to stop hiding behind fear and start moving forward anyway? Because courage isn't the absence of fear, it's action in spite of it. And right now you have everything you need to begin. Not someday. Not when things line up perfectly. Not when you feel ready. Now. Even if you're afraid. Even if you don't have all the answers. Even if you don't know exactly how it's going to work out. That doesn't matter. What matters is this: you finally understand what's been holding you back. You've seen the lies you've been telling yourself. You've faced the pain you've been avoiding. And now, you have a choice. You can either let these truths change nothing, or you can let them change everything. Because knowledge without action is meaningless. Inspiration without movement fades fast. And motivation without direction leads nowhere. But when you combine awareness with action, when you take what you've learned and turn it into daily decisions, that's when real transformation begins. This is your moment. The moment you decide to stop living by accident and start living by design. To stop letting life happen to you and start making it happen for you. To stop waiting for someone else to give you permission and start giving it to yourself. Because here's the final truth. You already have everything you need to create the life you want. You have the strength. You have the time. You have the power to choose. And you always did. You just needed to see it. So now that you do, what will you do with it? Will you keep playing small? Keep settling? Keep convincing yourself that tomorrow will be different even though you're making the same choices today? Or will you finally move? Because the version of you that you admire, the one who takes action, who faces fear, who builds something meaningful, that person doesn't wait for perfect conditions. They start now. They act despite the fear. They show up even when they don't feel like it. And so can you. This is your life. This is your time. This is your only shot. Don't waste it. Make the call. Send the message. Take the first step, even if you don't know where it leads. Because momentum builds as you move. And once you start walking forward, truly walking forward, not just thinking about it or planning for it or wishing for it, everything changes. You change. Your mindset shifts. Your habits evolve. Your confidence grows. And slowly, steadily, you become the person you always knew you could be. Not because you were lucky. Not because everything was handed to you. But because you chose to do the work. Because you refused to quit. Because you decided that your life mattered enough to fight for. That's who you are. That's who you're becoming. And that's how you build a life that truly belongs to you. So take a deep breath. Let this moment settle into your bones. Then move. Because nothing changes until you do.